Hi, I'm Joshua Popenoe. Welcome to my 4 Elements pronunciation practice session. This is the first part of a weekly Zoom class I give for my online membership students. I present an interesting sentence or quote and then give a short lesson about how to apply the 4 Elements framework, starting with melody, phrasing, and rhythm, followed by vowels, consonants, and connection, and anything else you might need to pay attention to. The second part is when I work with my students, giving personal feedback and more detailed instruction. I use the concept of 4 elements as a framework to illustrate every aspect of pronunciation, making it easy to identify and focus on what needs to improve. The 4 elements are vowels, consonants, rhythm, and connection. Vowels are open sounds. The mouth is always open, never blocked, so nothing is touching inside the mouth. A, E, I, O, U. Consonants are closed sounds. There's some kind of contact using the tongue, lips, or teeth. Ta, 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 la, 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 ba, ba, ba. Rhythm is made from syllables. Every vowel and the consonants surrounding it make a syllable. They're the smallest unit of speech that make a word or join together with other syllables to make longer words. Syllables are large and stressed or smaller and unstressed. Rhythm happens when you connect stressed and unstressed syllables together. Connection is about connecting words smoothly in a natural flow, and phrasing is the timing and intonation that joins them together, giving them specific meaning. Remember these words: vowel, consonant, rhythm, syllable, connection, and phrasing. This introduction was pre-recorded for perfection. The rest of the video will be live and spontaneous, so please enjoy the imperfection of a 100% non-AI human being. Me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this week's pronunciation session, focusing on the 4 elements. Today's sentence is a quote by Mark Twain, if you know who he is. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Right? We can't get rid of fear, but we don't have to let it dominate us and crush us. It's a great sentence. So let's go on right away to the pronunciation symbols where everything has been marked. You can see the IPA chart above, International Phonetic Alphabet. And below that, we have the sentence. So starting with rhythm and phrasing. Lavender marks are the stressed syllables. So they keep what I call a rhythm frame. They keep a regular, sort of steady pulse, not like a metronome, dot, 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 but to keep you flowing through. You can see the phrase marks. A phrase is words that go together and they mean something together. So this sentence has 3 phrases, and each phrase can have its own rhythm frame. Within a phrase, the rhythm frame has to be consistent, but each phrase can have a different speed of the rhythm frame depending on what the words are. So first, let's tap it together. The first phrase is, we're going to tap with our finger the stressed syllables. Courage is resistance to fear. Try that. Courage is resistance to fear. So you might see there are 3 unstressed syllables here, 2 here. So your tendency might be to take longer and think it takes longer. But the whole idea is to put the stressed syllables in the rhythm frame. So when there are more small syllables, it goes faster. And if there are less, it's going to go slower if we keep the same rhythm frame. So this, fear, right? Those are the 3 ones. Courage. So the first thing, courage is resistance. It's going to go a little faster. Courage is resistance to fear. Try again. Courage is resistance to fear. The second phrase, mastery of fear. So we're tapping the stress ones, ma and ear. Mastery of fear. Now, part of how we know, understand the phrasing of the sentence is through the melody, through the intonation. Listen to how I do those two. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear. So there's a little bit of a kind of a pause so that the words that group together, that they need to go together, it's very easy for the listener to understand. The third phrase is not absence of fear. In this case, not and ab. There's no little ones between. But notice again, not ab fear. Not ab fear. I'm still keeping a steady rhythm there. Not absence of fear. Not absence of fear. So they're going to go faster. So the whole sentence, 3 syllables. Listen to the melody of fear. Courage is resistance to fear. Mastery of fear. Not absence of fear. You hear how fear, 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 right? That's another way that we understand the whole sentence. The pitch, the melody doesn't go all the way down. Sentence at the end goes all the way down. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Try that. One more. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Good. Now, the next thing, if you're going in order, the next thing that's really important is actually the stressed vowels. You can see I've highlighted them in red, just the stressed ones, right? There are other vowels here, but the stressed ones are being highlighted because they're big. So the vowel needs to be pronounced correctly. The small ones are so small and moving so quickly that it's not crucial. There's not a strong, clear pronunciation because they're moving too fast. So the first one is cur, This one up here in the IPA chart. Cur, courage, courage. The next one is I. This is number 2. Resistance, I. Now, this may be tricky for some of you because in English, it's the letter I, and some of you might pronounce I as E. But in English, we have 2 vowels. We have E and we have I. And in general, the letter I in English is this one, I. 99.99% of the time, the letter I is I, not E. Few words are E. And of course, physically, E, the tongue is pushed up higher. That's what this chart shows, right? You've got this symbol here, also confusing because the IPA looks like the letter I, but it's not I, it's E. The sound is E. So it's this different tongue position. E, I, peak, pick. Leave, tongue is pushed up, live. There's more space where the tongue drops. Resistance. Okay? Then we have fear, ear. That's this one here, R vowels. Now, I did, in this case, put a schwa here, fear, because it does have a little bit of a curve to it, a bit of a swell, but I didn't put them here. Ear. I wanted them to be consistent with the rest of them. Fear. Then we have mastery, 3 syllables, da-da-da, mastery. So the red one here, it's a, the front open vowel, e-a, mastery, mastery. And the next one is ear again, ear. You're going E, and then to make the R, ear. Your tongue has to be in a different shape to make the R. You can't keep the tongue pushed up, E. So there's a natural kind of dropping of the middle of the tongue, fear. Then in the last phrase, we have not, ah, middle open vowel, ah, just relaxed, ah, not. Then we have a again, same as we had before, same as mastery. This is absence. Look how different my mouth shape is. Ah, not absence. And then the last one is ear again, fear, not absence of fear. So if you put in order of importance, first thing, phrasing and rhythm. Second thing are the stressed vowels. Now, if you want to learn the technique for all of those in my course, I've got videos for everything, including each vowel and showing you in great detail what the technique is. Okay, so we have courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. So now let's go from the beginning and let me point out what you should pay attention to. Courage, K is at the back, k. Unvoiced consonant. We have voiced and unvoiced consonants in pairs. Courage. So we go into the and then we have a very small vowel. Again, all you need is a small space. You don't have to think what is the vowel shape. Tiny little space. Courage, j. That's a sound in English. Again, look at the IPA symbol here, phonetic alphabet, j. We use the phonetic alphabet because the English alphabet only has 26 letters, and some letters have more than one sound. So j, the sound j in English has two different spellings. One of them is Josh, my name, Josh. But it also can be G, giant, gentle. That's a j. Same sound spelled with G or J, so we can't use that. We need to use the IPA, phonetic alphabet. Phonetic means sound, so it's the sound alphabet. So courage, j, that's voice 2. Courage is. Now we're connecting. The blue line means I want you to connect and don't break though. Courage is, meaning keep your voice flowing. Courage is. The next word is resistance. 3 syllables, right? Small, big, small. Resistance. And another example, the letter S has 2 pronunciations. The letter S can be unvoiced or voiced. Same mouth position, same tongue teeth position. That's another example of the voiced and unvoiced consonant. S is unvoiced, Z is voiced. So voice, resistance, right? A little one, big one, Z to S, and then a small one again. Resistance, and S at the end. Another confusing one. So the letter C, right? At the end. C also has 2 pronunciations, right? So we need to use IPA again. C can be, like here, resistance or 5 cents, CENT. But C can also be come, call, candid, right? So again, in IPA, there has to be one symbol for each sound. So here, resistance, we have Z, then we have S for the S here. And then for the C in spelling, we have S again. Resistance. Okay. Resistance to fear. Okay, so we have 2, but 2 is unstressed. So if I say 2, it takes too long to make the sound, and you'll lose the natural rhythm. So 2 we do with what's called schwa, which is an unstressed, undefined small vowel space. So 2 becomes just K. We have the T, and then the smallest space you can make. Resistance to fear. You hear how small that is? Resistance to. I'm not making any shape. Resistance to fear. Fear. Then we have F. F is unvoiced, top teeth, bottom lip. Find the right amount of pressure so that you can get a good, clean, clear sound. If you press too hard, you won't get it. If it's too loose, you won't get it. Fear. Resistance to fear. comma, mastery of fear. So we have again, mastery, 3 syllables, S-T, mastery. Okay, you hear the rhythm of that? Da-da-da, mastery, mastery of fear. Okay, then we have mastery ends with Y, which is the sound of E, mastery. And then we want to connect to the next schwa here of, F is V in this case, of, right? But it's very small again, mastery of fear. So we use what I call the Y technique. Mastery ends with Y, which is the sound for E. E is a glide consonant, they call it. One of 2 consonants where we don't actually touch. Other consonants, we touch, some kind of contact. But in the case of Y and W is the other one, where we don't touch, we glide. So we glide through the Y and it lets us connect the vowels. Mastery of. Mastery of. Mastery of fear. Mastery of fear. You hear how I'm connecting that? Mastery. Yeah. The tongue comes up to the Y and it comes down again, but I don't have to break my voice. Mastery of fear. Fear again, ear. Then we have the last phrase, which is not absence of fear. So you could connect that, not absence of fear, but it's an important part of this sentence. We're emphasizing it's not this, it's this. It's not absence of fear. So it has much more impact breaking here because you really focus on it in a different way when you break a syllable, break the rhythm, or not the rhythm. I'm keeping the rhythm, but breaking the flow, the connection. I could go not absence of fear, but I'm going not absence of fear. Then we have again, right? Absence. So briefly, I'll explain a technique. Absence. This is an interesting situation where we make both consonants, the N and the S sound, with one tongue position. So the tongue is in your mouth. Generally, here's your teeth, here's the bottom of your jaw, and the gums here. So when we make S normally, tip of the tongue is here. When we make N normally, we touch here. Na, 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 na. Absence. So in this case, instead of going, we're pressing up. We have one position. We put our tongue in the position for S, and then this part comes up to make the N, and then we just drop it. So the sound flows from the N through the S. Absence. Absence. One more thing. N is a voiced consonant. S is unvoiced. So you can hear a kind of a stop. Absent, right? You can hear That is the movement from voiced N to unvoiced S. Absence. Absence. Then I want you to connect right again into the of. Absence of fear. The blue line encourages you to connect. Absence of fear. If you break between unstressed syllables, you get a break. You get a kind of a jerky feeling. Absence of fear. You would lose the rhythm because you can't do it that fast. So we will always connect between unstressed, usually stressed to unstressed, between unstressed syllables. We connect and we flow. Absence of fear. Absence of fear. So that's a breakdown of all the pieces you need to pay attention to in this sentence. So why don't you try it with me? Obviously, you can listen to the video again, take time to really study these things and try each one yourself and then put them all together. So now repeat after me and we'll do it a couple times. I'm going to tap too. You don't have to, but it's helpful. After me. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Again, courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful to you. And stay tuned if you want to join us. Take care and see you next time. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to work with me live and continue learning the 4 elements in detail, along with every technique you need to improve your English pronunciation, come join my online pronunciation membership, which includes over 100 videos teaching every technique you need for good English pronunciation. For more information, go to popenoemethod.com. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you next time.